like Humpty Dumpty's taking his last fall. If it were me, I'd be praying he ends up barbecue. Barbecue! Even old Eggman the Destroyer gets scrambled, or at least sunny side up.
Is there an underlying reason as to why Eggman was mentioned in the prologue scene of Bayonetta 1? Keeping him in the back of our heads so that way he'll return as possibly one of the recurring minor antagonists for Bayonetta 3. So we are going to explore how he really lost against our Bayonetta and if these make a good reason for him to come back. How are we going today, everyone? My name is Rakan. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. If you want to fully understand Eggman the Destroyer, I recommend you watch the Potassium Butcher theory. Then come right back to this video. A huge shout out to the lovely Ice-T Arts who brought our Eggman the Destroyer concept to life. She also drew my Taylor concept, so if you do want to support her artworks, you're more than welcome to in the link below. Okay, now onto the theories on why Eggman the Destroyer lost against our Bayonetta. And number 5, we start off with Eggman was dying. This is on the basis that Eggman was a feared and ruthless man, that not even Inferno would have liked him. That gave me the impression that he had a reputation, and would possibly make him much older than we think he is. We gotta remember that he was 100% human with no lumen or umbran skills coursing through him as of now, so we don't even know if he had any anti-aging cream or powers, sorry. This makes me theorize that Eggman was potentially frail, and his body was getting much older, hence making him more susceptible to Bayonetta and Madama Butterfly's attacks. While this is a possibility, I made this number 5 since this was quite a boring reason relative to the next ones, but it would still make it quite realistic. It's one of the fights that I want to see as a flashback or even as a playable flashback in Bayonetta 3. And Eggman doesn't have to be the purple figure to be in Bayonetta 3, he can just pop up, and that's what I would really like. Number 4. Eggman wanted to see Inferno. What if Eggman knew he was going to Inferno when he died? He knew himself as the ruthless figure that everyone hated, which made me speculate that he was some sort of corrupt businessman that was known for dirty and underground activities. Though we have to keep in mind Bayonetta was called upon to deal with such a character, and as we know, Bayonetta is really strong, so this opponent was not someone to underestimate. My personal headcanon is that Eggman the Destroyer was an Avengers level threat, I suppose. It's possible that realizing such a domain of existence exists, it could have fascinated him, which led the perfect opportunity and puppeteering of Enzo to be slain by Bayonetta. He also maybe wanted a great last battle in the Chaos Realm before he was reborn into his next life. This makes me wonder, if Eggman the Destroyer is not the purple figure in Bayonetta 3, which is highly likely, could we see a potential around scenario of Eggman the Destroyer's demon form? Maybe in the form of a scrambled egg. I'm joking of course, but it really dawns on me that Eggman could have been bored of his achievements on Earth or in Chaos, intrinsically wanting more and more power. I speculate he would have played a survivalist role in Inferno, garnering an even much more devastating bloodlust and murderous intent, which leads me to my next subpoint. Since he knew of his reputation of not being wanted in Inferno, could have Eggman potentially versed Radahn in the past and lost? Then you may ask, why couldn't have Radahn gotten rid of Eggman at that time? Well, Radahn is technically not on our side, even though he is on Team Bayonetta. Radahn's only motive is to make weapons from the denizens of Inferno, and to bartend his bar. He even said that he'd make Bayonetta into a weapon if he had the chance.
If you would've kicked the bucket here, I'd be all over your soul like a hungry hyena.
Mr. Kamiya said that they have a special relationship, which could possibly be a euphemism to what I explained. Is it possible that Eggman would have wanted to encounter Radahn in order to train up and beat him the next time around? In my opinion, I believe that this would have been quite too specific and somewhat a lame reason, but still could be a possibility between Eggman and Radahn meeting. However, the fact that Eggman wanted to see Inferno for himself, I think that is a pretty solid plot point, especially for someone who is really bored of Earth. Number 3. Eggman had pity. Fairly straightforward, but since 2015, I like to call this situation the Saitama Boros scenario. Basically, one feels pity for the opponent, and even though they could still beat them, they choose to delay the fight longer or to accept defeat entirely. The reason for this is because they've possibly had enough of their own success and wanted to see what it feels like to lose. which is quite the flex. It could also be possible that Eggman had known the legendary witch with no memories, Bayonetta, and chose to lose the fight on purpose. This, however, strays away from the barbaric nature of Eggman's reputation, but could show how much of a character development he had at that point when he was versing Bayonetta. I don't believe that this would be the case. It kind of branches into my next point, which I think would be a pretty honorable reason. For number 2, I'm going to put a spoiler warning for the Demon Slayer manga and the Demon Slayer Mugen Train movie, so I've put timestamps and spoiler zones for you to avoid if you do not want to get spoiled. Even if you've seen Mugen Train alone but have not seen the manga, because I am going to put some spoilers for it, click on this timestamp. Okay, ready? In the manga, it was revealed that Akaza, the third upper moon, refuses to kill or eat women as revealed by Doma, the second upper moon. I really felt more empathy towards Akaza, whose fiance was killed by a rival dojo who Akaza couldn't beat. This memory then cultivated into something of refusing to kill women. This would be a nice add-on to Eggman respecting women, so that would mean he still has a heart and human morals. It is possible that Eggman didn't like hurting women, and of course Bayonetta being one could have been his weakness. Though it would have been enough to escape, he could have had the twisted mindset of dying in the hands of a beautiful woman. I mean, getting stepped on by my lovely Bayonetta to death, it's kind of a good deal. Even though I'd like number 2 to be true, to provide some character building for Eggman, number 1 would be Bayonetta was just merely stronger. The most realistic scenario, Bayonetta was just simply too strong for Eggman. Even though this is straightforward, it really links to my Bayonetta 3 anime opening 2 and the Potassium Butcher theory. This is what makes Eggman come back in Bayonetta 3. This defeat would have been a catalyst for Eggman to get stronger, to become a real destroyer of worlds in Inferno, coming back to defeat Bayonetta after all those years. Eggman will verse Bayonetta in Bayonetta 3 for round 2, taking the place of the recurring minor antagonist role, just like how John did in Bayonetta 1 and young Boulder in Bayonetta 2. Notice the pattern of the minor antagonist eventually helping you out in the final chapters of the game. I know for a fact that Crazy Gal and Ryder are going to love this shonen moment, but beating Lilith at the end of Bayonetta 3 in a mutual agreement with Eggman, the one you beat at the beginning of Bayonetta 1 prior to Bayonetta 1 actually ending it how it finally began. That is going to be epic. What if Eggman is your recurring antagonist, your recurring rival who eventually helps you out in the end of Bayonetta 3, eventually beating Lilith, the god of reality who did possess young Cereza's adult body? I know this theory is a lot to take in, so if you do want to understand how I got to Lilith, the god of reality, how I got to possess young Cereza, how I got to Eggman, you are more than welcome to click that video right there. Or if you want to see more Bayonetta 3 theories over 63 more episodes, 64 according to this playlist, you are more than welcome to click this video right here. I'm Rakan, and happy theorizing.